Hi Scrubs, I hope you're well. So we're back on Flying for Home. Now, I'm going to be focusing on training in this video. So basically we have most of our horses here I have fed, trained, and some of them have entered into races for the next meet. Now we have a couple of here that we haven't. I have two 2-year-old, Danger, Awakening, Kiss by the Moon, that I haven't, and I have one 3-year-old. So we're going to start off with Danger Awakened. So basically we have this horse here. Now she's already been fed, but we're going to click on exercise. Now the first thing I just want to sort of mention before we go any further is that here in her notes, and we can edit the notes by clicking this button, it says she can no longer improve in versatility or acceleration. So if we look down here, this means that she can't improve in this, and she can't improve in this, but that does mean she can still improve in late speed, rating, early speed, and braking. So if we go into exercise here, okay, so on the exercise page we have the training help. So if we open the training help here, this is going to give us a bit more of a guide. Okay, so we're going to start off with the training type. So each training has a square bracket under the name, and letters and symbols in the box denote important information about the training type. Plus equals increased energy use and increased condition benefit. A T indicates that this improves track familiarity and it's based on the current location. J is for improving jockey familiarity with selected jockey, and S improves surface preference with selected surface. D improves distance preference with the selected distance, and M improves morale. And then we have the asterisk by any other letter indicates a significant gain. So just for an example of that, if we go down here to track ride, for example, the plus here means that this particular action, this track ride, is going to take a lot of energy, but you're going to gain track familiarity and morale on your horse. Then if we go to trail ride here, we see an asterisk beside the M. This means that the horse is going to gain quite a lot of morale from this, but the plus sign means it's going to take quite a lot of energy to do it. So the first thing to start off with is groundwork. Now groundwork is the foundation of all training, and it will help your horses gain respect and prepare to begin being ridden. This type of training is primarily used for yearlings. It can help boost courage, consistency, versatility, and rating. So if we just go back here to one of our horses here, so if we have a look at that, if this was a yearling, not that this is, but basically we would be seeing possible increases in consistency down here, in our versatility here, as well as rating, and possibly in courage as well. Now I don't think I can see courage at this stage. I don't think I can. It might be something possibly that comes up later. Somebody might let me know in the comments. So the next bit is saddle training. So training a horse to accept a saddle and bridle and teaching basic cues begins once a horse turns 2 years old. Horses that are easy to handle tend to pick it up faster, while unruly horses may take more time. This basic aspect of training must be completed before a horse can move on to anything more advanced. So if you're not sure if your horse has been saddle trained yet, once you see that it has a saddle on it, that means it's saddle trained. Because I have some yearlings and they don't have a saddle yet because they haven't been saddle trained. So then we have track rides. So once your horse has the basics down, you can start taking them for longer, leisurely rides to get them acclimatized to the track. This type of training typically follows saddle training and will continue to help build condition, and it will also improve rating. So what it's going to do is it's going to build condition here, and it's going to improve their rating. Now the next part is trail rides. So trail rides are another type of basic training that involve taking horses out for lots of trotting and cantering on safe but varied terrain. This is great for building condition, and it strengthens the entire musculoskeletal system. However, it is more tiring than other exercise, and it may also improve versatility and courage. So you're going to see an improvement in condition when doing this. You're going to see an improvement possibly in versatility and also courage. Now obviously some of these sometimes improve. I've noticed this in some of the horses that I've trained. There's certain things that will occasionally it'll improve them in, but it won't always do. So the next part is interval training. So interval training is probably the most common type of training used, and it's very similar to doing timed workouts with a buddy. In interval training, your horse will perform 2 different speeds during portions of the workout, starting out with a breeze and ending with a gallop. So that's the breeze gallop. And then we have, this is great for early speed, and occasionally, this is what I was mentioning earlier, improves braking. So this will improve early speed, and sometimes it will also improve braking. So starting out with a gallop and ending with a breeze is gallop breeze. So this is the other one of this. This is great for building late speed over here, and it might also improve acceleration on some occasions as well. Then we have gait training. So gait work is essentially, as it sounds, training a horse how to load and brake from the starting gate. It's an excellent way to improve braking and acceleration. So it's going to improve acceleration here and braking. However, it does not involve much high intensity exercise and will have little to no impact on condition. So you're really not going to see any improvement in condition here. And this type of training is rather redundant and boring and will decrease morale. So you're likely to see your horse's morale go down when performing that activity. And the next thing is the long gallop. So a long gallop involves working a horse at a lower speed for a longer duration of time, often also longer distance than an interval workout. It is perhaps the best way to build condition, so you would see an improvement in condition, and adding a long gallop into your training routine every now and then will help keep your horses in top form. It requires a substantial amount of energy and does not target improvements for any stats. So you would see a very large use of energy for doing this. So the final one is maintenance. Maintenance training is basic timed workout without a distinct focus on any aspect of performance, and it's designed to keep a horse in racing form, and it mimics the pace and distance that are likely to see in a race. It is lower impact than some of the other options, but it does not improve any stats. If your horse has maxed everything else, this is a great type of training to use. So if you had maxed all of these, the braking, the early speed, the versatility, the rate and the acceleration and late speed, and you're pretty happy with everything else here, that would probably be a pretty good one to do. Because it's low impact, I typically will give my racing horses a maintenance workout before they go into their races. So the next bit is training and influences. So the right balance of training will keep your horse at an ideal energy and condition. If you monitor those closely as you train, you can figure out what works best for each individual horse. Typically, a workout that gives a larger condition boost will use more energy. These can be useful to use in early training or to mix in once or twice a year to keep all of your horses in top form. So condition does not need to be kept at or even near 100%. A horse who has better condition will lose less energy in races and workouts, but a horse with low condition will not be in any real danger. Think of 50% condition. A horse is one who's fit for racing, but is slightly on the lazy side. They can race just fine, but they're going to come out of it more exhausted than a horse is in top condition. So obviously this horse is like really low condition, so this horse would be super lazy. Now if we have a look at Astra here, the collective, this horse is at 99 condition, so this horse would be hopefully less lazy. So the next part is that condition does influence a chance of risk / injury. You should not do anything more than riding workouts or long gallops until a horse has at least 30% condition. Doing so could permanently increase the risk of or lead to them getting hurt during races or workouts. Now I didn't know that before, but I do now. So obviously our 2-year-old there, we wouldn't want to be doing anything like that with them. So morale is a third benefit of doing training. Most training types will improve morale, though certain types will improve it faster. Higher morale will help a horse race better, though their morale cannot get any higher than their current maximum. Feed focus to increase that. Morale will go down if a horse is not trained, so be sure to train a horse every month. Okay, so morale is there. Okay, so the next bit is distance and surface. So only certain training types will improve a horse's distance and surface preferences. If you attempt to race without building these, your horse will probably not perform very well. While you can choose any distance or surface you'd like, all horses have a genetic bias and will train faster if you work with the genetic basis. I suppose that's why whenever you take them to the horse guy who tells you what kind of distance they like to run, what kind of track they like, whether they like turf or dirt, I suppose that's where it's kind of coming in. Like, for example, this one's like a dirt / turf horse, but then I have ones that just like the dirt and other ones that just like the turf. For a surface, a horse who's homozygous for that surface will take it to it fastest. Horses who are heterozygous will progress fairly well, but horses who are recessive will be quite difficult to train. Switching training to the opposite surface will usually lower the other one, but horses who are dual, homozygous for both, can more easily maintain full surface preference for both surfaces at once. I did actually notice that because one day I had a turf horse who I accidentally trained on dirt, and that horse lost some of its progress in the other surface as a result of that. So for distance, a horse who is outstanding will train much faster than a horse who is poor. If your horse has outstanding speed genes, you will usually want to target distances in the sprint range 5 to 7 furlongs. If your horse has outstanding stamina genes, you probably want to target longer distances 10 to 12 furlongs. Horses who are outstanding for speed and stamina can easily learn any distance you want them to, which makes them quite unique. Use them to fill in gaps in your racing string or change their distance each year based on the special races available for their age. So the next part is the miler range. This is 7 to 9 furlongs. It's unique in that it does not require genetic preference. Any horse can be trained to race at these distances and will learn at roughly equal speeds. If your horse has really low genes for both speed and stamina, this is probably the way to go. So you can only have a maximum of 4 trained distances at a time, and they must all be within a connected range. 4 is the maximum. Some horses may only be able to have 2 or 3 trained at a time. For example, if you start with 8 furlong training, you could choose to add 7 furlongs or 9 furlongs to that, but you could not add 5 furlongs because it would leave a gap between. Horses will improve rapidly at the first distance you choose for them, so choose carefully. And then we have, if you change your mind on what distance you want your horse to run, all you have to do is click the X button below them to erase all the training on that distance, and this will open up new training options again, if any are available. For example, if your horse is trained in 10 to 12 and you remove 10, 10 is still the only distance that would be available. If your horse is trained from 7 through to 9, you can remove 7, you'll be able to add 10. You can remove all trained distances to start completely fresh. Okay, so the next part is the more a horse gets used to a jockey, the better they will do with them in races. Training a horse with a jockey ahead of time will help build a bond between them. Though you can train a horse with 2 jockeys, it's usually best to focus on just one, and the higher the familiarity score is, the better the horse will do in races. So please note, not all types of training will improve jockey familiarity. Making sure to include some of your training rotation that will help your horse to get ready to race at their best. If you don't though, it's not a reason to avoid racing, just expect it to take a little longer before your horse performs at its best. So then we have track familiarity. Like with jockeys, horses can train at a track and get comfortable with running there. Even every track is built slightly different, whether it's footing, size, shapes, or environmental conditions, and getting a horse used to a track before racing there will help with performance. A horse can have 2 familiar tracks at once, but will only actively train at whichever one they are currently located at. Their bonus for familiarity will work with the race at either of the 2, but the familiarity will degenerate over time if they do not occasionally train there. So the next part is maturity. While maturity is not extremely important to note here, you do need to pay some attention to it. A horse who is extremely immature will gain risk by doing intense exercises. It's a good idea not to do more than groundwork until a horse is 60% mature to avoid increasing risk. However, you should keep in mind that groundwork offers little to no stat improvements for race age horses and could set them drastically behind their peers in training. Exercise more intense than track, trail riding, or long, slow gallops should be avoided until the horse is at least 80% mature, as they will also increase risk. Okay, so if we look at Moon here, Moon is on 43% maturity and condition is at 15%. Now, if we're going to do some training with her, I want to do something that's not too intense, so we're possibly going to try doing the long gallop. So we'll try training her in that. We can put her on alternating surfaces because she's pretty good with dirt and turf. So then we've also got Danger here. So Danger is on 48% maturity and condition is on 32, so we're going to put her in to do a long gallop as well. We're going to go with 11 furlongs. So this is what I was talking about with the distances. I can train, because I've trained 12 and 11 here, I can train 10 also, but if I wanted to, let's say, start training 9 furlongs and get rid of 12, I could click X here and get rid of it. So we're going to train a little bit on 11 there. So if we go back to Moon, we can see that that did take quite a big bit of energy, but her condition has improved, up from 15% to 40% condition now. So that was just a brief overview of training. I'm still kind of working out training as I go along. I'm trying to figure out what works best. Is there a particular order that kind of works best? Is it more based on the horse and so forth? So I've been trying a couple of different things. But if you have any suggestions or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments. Anyway, scrubs, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you had a lovely day, and bye-bye!